Now, let me tell you, when I was watching this, I was shocked in the first couple quarters. In the first and second quarter, I didn't know what was going on. I was befuddled by how the team was playing because that's not the team that we saw last year.
White is a bad man.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy IJ here, back with the I'm Just Talking podcast, where in today's episode we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of NFL things to talk about, so not going to waste you guys' time. As always, before we get started, gotta give on to God because without him I wouldn't be able to do this. Plus, real quick announcement. I understand that these podcast episodes can be long. I understand that. So, what I'm going to start doing is every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to clip a certain segment from the episode that I recorded on Mondays and Wednesdays and then post it on YouTube on Tuesday and Thursday. So, for instance, if I do a segment that I really enjoy doing today, I'll post it on my YouTube channel tomorrow. So, you'll see as in the coming days what I'm talking about. But, not going to waste you guys' time. Like I said, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, to kick things off in today's episode, we got to talk about the New Orleans Saints, man. Now, before I get into the game, let me tell you how I was feeling before the game. I was scared. Like, I really was scared because I thought that this was going to be a game where the team underestimated their opponent and it was going to be closer than what it should have been. But it wasn't. The Saints, ladies and gentlemen, went out and stomped the Carolina Panthers 47-10. Now, let me tell you, when I was watching this, I was shocked in the first couple quarters. In the first and second quarter, I didn't know what was going on. I was befuddled by how the team was playing because that's not the team that we saw last year. Now, obviously, that game against the Falcons, in that last game, that's the offense that we last saw. So, but it had been a couple months, the off season, and we didn't know what to expect from this offense. So, and not to mention last year, they were up and down. One minute they had a great game, the next game they came out flat. But to see them carry that momentum from the last game against the Falcons into this game against the Panthers, man. Let's get into the box score. Derek Carr, shout out to him. He did his thing. 23 passing attempts, completed 19 passes, threw for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, in Friday's episode, I said that he had to kind of be like the car that I own, right? Just get up from point A to point B. He did more than that. He was all gas, no brakes. He was acting like a whole Ferrari out there, a whole Corvette. Like, say what you want about Derek. Say what you want about Derek Carr, but at the end of the day, the man's improved. And he's starting to feel more comfortable, not only with the team, with his receivers, but I can tell he's starting to get comfortable in this offense as well. So, shout out to Derek Carr. Then, in the rushing game, Alvin Kamara, 15 rushing attempts, 83 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Jamal Williams, 11 rushing attempts, 38 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Then Taysom Hill, that's right, he was lined up in the backfield. So he's technically our number 3 running back at this point of the season right now to kick things off. 5 rushing attempts, 35 rushing yards. So this team, even though it's week 1, and I'm going to calm down a little because it was the Carolina Panthers, but this is great to see. This is great to see from an offensive standpoint because when you're out there and you're able to beat up on a team like the Panthers, that says something because put it like this. Last season, we beat the Panthers twice, but in the second game, which was in New Orleans, even though we won, the game didn't feel like a W. Like, it didn't feel like a decisive win. But this win right here, man, boy. And now, for the first time in a minute as a Saints fan, I feel excitement. Like, I feel hope. I feel excitement. Like, watching that game last night made me feel as if I was in the Superdome. Like, hearing the crowd, hearing the energy from the crowd, hearing them do the who that chants and everything, hearing them be invested into the game. That's not something that we heard from Saints fans last year. We heard the Bluebirds. We heard boos. Every time the offense would go on a 3-and-out possession, the team would start booing. Every time Derek Carr, came back on the field, when Taysom Hill had a nice little run, the fans would start booing Derek Carr. But I'll finish say last night. But yesterday, it wasn't that. I felt the energy from the crowd like I was at the game. Like, I never felt that before. I have felt that before as a Saints fan, but I haven't felt it in a minute. Really, ever since Drew Brees retired, I haven't felt that feeling. But this team, man, it can be something special. It can be something special. Now, like I said, it was the Carolina Panthers, so no disrespect to them, but, Bryce Young had a tough showing. Now, before I get to the Panthers stats, real quick, Rashid Shaheed, 3 receptions, 73 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. Foster Moreau had a nice game, 4 receptions, 43 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown as well. And Jawan Johnson also had 2 receptions on 26 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. And not to mention Alvin Kamara chipped in with 5 receptions for 27 receiving yards as well. So, like I said, all-around great game for the New Orleans Saints, man. And as for the Carolina Panthers, I feel bad for Bryce Young. I really did. 30 passing attempts, only completed 13 of them, threw for 161 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Now, he did have a rushing touchdown, but besides that, Bryce Young didn't do much. There was, on the Panthers' first possession, there was a passing play, he threw an interception. First play of the game for the Panthers, he threw an interception. And then at the start of the third quarter, they had the ball, it was third down, he overthrew his receiver, intercepted. Not to mention he was getting pressure. So I just feel bad for Bryce Young, man. I really want him to succeed in the NFL, but it may be a situation where if the Carolina Panthers don't continue to improve and get him help, I think it'll be I want to say a Baker Mayfield type of situation where he leaves and finds a team that actually, builds around him. But I don't know. Maybe it's just week 1 and they'll get things together. I'm hoping that for him. But yesterday, it wasn't a good showing for Bryce Young. Then the rushing game, they didn't get a lot going. Miles Sanders, 5 rushing attempts, 22 rushing yards. Chuba Hubbard, 6 rushing attempts, 14 rushing yards. So, like I said, they didn't get much done in that category. Receiving-wise, Adam Thielen had 3 receptions for 49 receiving yards. Jonathan Mingo, 2 receptions, 40 receiving yards. And then Xavier Legette, 4 receptions for 35 receiving yards. So, like I said, it wasn't a good all-around game for the Panthers. But, hey, it's week 1. So, maybe they'll clean things up a little bit and they'll have a much better showing in the next game. But as for the Saints, shout out to them. Like, I feel excitement right now. Now, I'm going to have to calm it down because next week we got to play Dallas. We got to go to Dallas and play them boys. So, not going to take that game lightly, but seeing what they did with this game with the Carolina Panthers, beating them the way that they did, I have a little bit of confidence and a little bit of hope now in the New Orleans Saints. And one thing before I look at the rest of the score, I'm going to say this. Even though y'all did well against the Panthers, keep this momentum going. Okay, don't slack up. Keep this momentum going. And not only that, but remember, you're going to have to see this team again. So best believe they're going to, come out with a vengeance. So the same way y'all beat up on them yesterday, y'all need to do the same thing when y'all play them again later on in the year. But hey, maybe I'm just talking. But let's look at the rest of the scores from the NFL. The Friday night game between the Eagles and the Packers in Brazil, the Eagles beat the Packers 34-29, even though It sucked how the game ended with Jordan Love getting injured. There's reports about him being out for the next couple weeks, probably 3 to 4 weeks. But the timetable of his official return is still kind of unknown. But the Packers are hoping that it's not a long-term injury. And it didn't seem like that, but still, it's a tough blow for them. Now they have to rely on Malik Willis to lead them at the quarterback position. Then looking at the rest of the scores, the Steelers defeat the Falcons. You see what I did there? I predict the Falcons to win. I used reverse psychology, and the Steelers ended up winning. But nah, in all seriousness, if you saw the highlights from that game, the Falcons ought to be ashamed of themselves. And I say that from a fan base standpoint, because how you let the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Atlanta, and there were more Pittsburgh fans than Falcons fans at that game. Come on now. But yeah, Steelers beat the Falcons 18-10 in the game where it was Justin Fields playing. So shout out to Justin Fields for getting his first win as a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's going to be some questions about who's going to be the starting quarterback going forward but for the Steelers. But good win for them. Cardinals-Bills. Now, even though I got this prediction wrong, the Cardinals gave the Bills everything that they could. Okay, the final score was 34-28. The Cardinals got out to an early lead, but the Buffalo Bills started to get their act together, and then they ultimately won the game. So shout out to the Bills. Bears-Titans. Now, this was a game where the Bears ended up winning 24-17, but it was not because of Caleb Williams. Okay, Caleb Williams struggled in his first game in the NFL. That's kind of to be expected from a rookie quarterback, but it was mainly the defense and the special teams that helped Chicago get back into the game. They ended up winning 24-17. Now, this is a game that shocked me. The Patriots and the Bengals. The Patriots ended up winning 16-10. Now, I have Joe Burrow on my fantasy team, man. I didn't get no notifications about them doing anything. It was like, what was going on? Not to mention, they played in Cincinnati, too. So, that was a shock to me. But shout out to the Patriots. Shout out to Gerard Mayo for getting his first win as the head coach for the New England Patriots. Then you had the Texans and the Colts. The Texans were able to defeat the Colts 29-27. The Jaguars-Dolphins game, the Dolphins defeated the Jaguars 20-17 on the late second field goal, and crazy events that happened before the game with Tyreek Hill. Not gonna get into it, but if you know, you know. Not like I said, not gonna get into it because I don't think I can get into it like that. I don't know what really transpired from that event, but he was on the field and he balled out for him. So shout out to the Dolphins for winning. Vikings-Giants. This was a game that was pretty predictable. Giants lost to the Vikings 28-6. They were booing the Giants throughout the game, and rightfully so. So Giants gonna have to get their act together. Raiders-Chargers. Now, I wasn't expecting this outcome. I thought the Raiders were going to beat the Chargers, but the Chargers ended up defeating the Raiders 22-10. Broncos-Seahawks. The Seahawks ended up winning 26-20. Them boys got the victory against the Browns 33-17. Buccaneers defeated the Commanders 37-20. And then last night's game, the Sunday Night Football game, this was a good one. It was a good one. It went to overtime. The Detroit Lions were able to defeat the LA Rams 26-20. So those were yesterday's slated games. And then obviously tonight we got the Jets and the 49ers. Now, this game is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting from a standpoint with the Jets. What would this offense look like now with a fully healthy Aaron Rodgers? I hope. And from San Francisco side of things is, will Christian McCaffrey play because he's questionable with an injury? And plus, can they put all of that offseason drama behind them and officially lock into football tonight? So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that game tonight. I'm gonna pick the 49ers. I think the 49ers will be able to get this one. The Jets will play a pretty competitive game against them, but I think the San Francisco 49ers will be able to get this one and defeat the Jets on Monday Night Football. Now, before I switch gears to the college football side of things, just want to give a quick roundup of all the news that has happened in the NFL today. Tough news for the Carolina Panthers after their loss to the Saints 47-10. It's been reported that the star defensive lineman Derek Brown has suffered a potential season-ending knee injury, and that could keep him out for the rest of the season. So that's a tough blow for them. For the Chicago Bears, wide receiver Roma Dunze is said to have an MRI today on his knee. Then for the Cleveland Browns, tight end David Njoku, who left the game early yesterday against the Dallas Cowboys, he considered week to week with an ankle injury that, ultimately, like I said, forced him to leave the game last night. But hopefully it's nothing too serious. Jake Ferguson suffered an MCL and bone bruise in Sunday's win over the Cleveland Browns. And for the Saints, cornerback Marshawn Lattimore suffered a minor hamstring injury, but he should be good to go for the Dallas Cowboys game next week. So you get now to college football. Before I go into the scores of the top 25 teams and how they fared, I just want to briefly give a quick shout out to Jackson State for being able to get a resounding victory over Lane College, 58-7. It was a game where a lot of people expected it to go the way it did, and it was a game where I was in attendance in, and the atmosphere and the energy at a JSU football game is not like anything else. So if you haven't been to a JSU football game, I highly suggest you come out, and I suggest you come out to the one this Saturday at 6 o'clock at the Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi. This is a game that will be between Jackson State and Southern, big rivalry game, so make sure you come out and support the JSU Tigers. And just to check up on our old coach and Deion Sanders, they did not do well against Nebraska. They lost 28-10. This was a game where they struggled offensively, and ultimately they ended up losing the game. It was some tough news with Shiloh Sanders. He ended up suffering an injury, so shout out to him. Hopefully he's able to make a speedy recovery. I believe it was his forearm that he injured, so hopefully he's able to have a speedy recovery. But was a good showing for Colorado. They'll be looking to bounce back against Colorado State, so this is a rivalry game for them. We all know how chippy that game got for them last year, and that game will be coming on this Saturday at 6:30. So you want to watch that and see what happens with Colorado and Colorado State, then be my guest. And real quick, I want to go through the scores of the top 25 teams from this past weekend. Number 1, Georgia took care of business against Tennessee Tech, defeating them 48-3. Number 2, Ohio State defeated Western Michigan 56-0. Number 3, Texas had a resounding victory against number 10, Michigan 31-12. Number 4, Alabama was in a pretty tight battle with South Florida to start the game, but they ended up beating them 42-16. Northern Illinois had an upset victory over number 5 Notre Dame, defeating them 16-14. Number 6, Ole Miss defeated Middle Tennessee 52-3. Number 7, Oregon defeated Boise State 37-34. A pretty close game in that game between those two teams. Number 8, Penn State defeated Bowling Green 34-27. Another close game. Missouri defeated Buffalo. Number 9, Missouri defeated them 38-0. Number 11, Utah defeated Baylor 23-12. Number 12, Miami defeated Florida A&M 56-9. Number 13, USC defeated Utah State 48-0. Number 14, Tennessee defeated number 24, NC State 51-10. Number 15, Oklahoma defeated Houston 16-12. Number 16, excuse me, y'all. Number 16, Oklahoma State defeated Arkansas 39-31. Number 17, Kansas State defeated Tulane 34-27. Number 18, LSU defeated Nichols College. I hope I said that right. 44-21. Illinois defeated Kansas. Number 19, Kansas 23-17. Number 20, Arizona defeated Northern Arizona 22-10. Iowa State defeated number 21, Iowa 20-19. Excuse me. Louisville defeated Jacksonville State 49-14. Syracuse defeated number 23, Georgia Tech 31-28. And Clemson defeated Appalachian State 66-20. So there were a lot of close games this past weekend in college football, especially with those teams in the top 25. So that's the beauty of college football. You never know what's going to happen. You never know if a school is going to upset one of those top 5, top 10 schools, but that's the beauty of it. So shout out to all the colleges that got victories this past weekend. And with our final segment of today, we want to go through and talk about the Brooklyn Nets. We're continuing this series of going through the NBA teams and seeing what they did in this offseason and predict how they're going to fare this upcoming season. The Brooklyn Nets, they're a team that was in the playoffs a year ago, but then things didn't go the way they wanted to last year, and they ultimately ended up with a 32-50 record. And there was a lot of offseason change for them. First off, they have a new head coach in Jordi Fernandez, so hopefully he does well for the Brooklyn Nets. Then they also traded away Mikal Bridges to the New York Knicks, but they did get Bojan Bogdanovic in that exchange. They also signed Killian Hayes to a one-year deal. They also got Shake Milton in that deal with the New York Knicks, and they also traded for Zaire Williams from the Memphis Grizzlies. So the Brooklyn Nets, they're an interesting team. They're a really interesting team. They've, like I said, gone through a lot of reconstructing this offseason, and this is a hard team to predict because they're obviously not going to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, but they're not going to be one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference neither. So it's just a matter of, can Jordy Fernandez be able to coach them in the right way, and can he be able to build a great chemistry between him and his players? That's number one. And number two, what would this team look like really by the trade deadline? Because let's be honest, they're not done with this roster. This roster is still under construction. Bojan Bogdanovic, he's a good pickup for them, but I don't think he's going to be there for the long run. So it's going to be interesting to see how things start off for the Brooklyn Nets this year. I think they'll be one of the teams in positions to draft Cooper Flag in the 2025 NFL, I was going to say NFL draft, but the 2025 NBA draft. But like I said, I don't expect them to be one of those teams where opposing teams are just going to walk over. I think they're still going to play really competitively, but I don't think they'll make the play-in tournament. I think they'll end up being number either 11 or 12 in the Eastern Conference. They finished 32-50 last year. I think they'll finish around that mark as well. But like I said, don't take them lightly. I still think they'll be a pretty competitive team this upcoming season. So, yeah, that's today's episode. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening. As always, KGF, keep God first. Make sure you guys love each other and treat each other right. And the energy that you give to others will eventually come back to you. So that's my motivational tip for the day. If you give out good energy to people, then good energy will come back to you. But you give out bad energy, the bad energy is going to come back to you. So just remember that. And like I said, just be kind to people. And as always, KGF, keep God first. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Peace. I'm out.